you, John. Super grateful to be with all of you today. I have the humble honor, it's one of my favorite parts of these experiences, is the opportunity to bring forth the voices from our community. These are students who, similar to you, were in a seat receiving the training for the first time at Exchange. They decided to commit to that learning journey, and here they are today to share how they've brought this approach into their worlds to create the impact that they also were future visioning 1 year from now, what's possible, just like you did. So with that, I'm going to invite the team to bring up to our virtual stage today two incredible souls, Glenda Lopez and Michelle Spehr. And I'm going to introduce these two women. Hi, Glenda. Good to have you. And hi, Michelle. Glenda, I'm going to start with you. You have been a student of Exchange for the past 3 years. Congratulations. High five for being a certified guide. Way to go. And Glenda, you are an experienced realtor, facilitator, and entrepreneur dedicated to building meaningful connections and facilitating transformative conversations that foster collaboration and change. Welcome, Glenda.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, yes, yes. And next I've got Michelle. Michelle, you are on the path to certification and you're just about to celebrate your first year with Exchange. Congratulations.
Thank
Michelle,
you.
you are a consultant, a facilitator for vital work. You inspire positive change by curating connections. And I love this part. You connect people, you connect ideas, and then you connect the people to the ideas. Welcome, Michelle.
Thanks, Stephanie.
So I've got 3 questions for these ladies. By the way, you can follow along and take your own notes if you've got the workbook up. We're on page 20 where you can take notes. And I'm going to preface this because I know I always get this question. The slides that I'm going to be showing, you will have access to this again in the end of day recap. So Glenda, I'm going to start with you just as a great way to get to know you. Do you mind sharing for everyone here today, where have you applied the Exchange approach? Maybe let us know any specific clients, communities, or environments.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to answer that question, but I just wanted to say to everyone that's here right now, I hope this day was as magical for you as it was for me the first time that I came to Exchange. I'm thinking back to when I was in your seat, and I remember just feeling like, I have no idea why I feel so comfortable in this space. I have no idea what kind of magic these people are working. And if it works anywhere else, John said, surely you have confidence that it works elsewhere because you've seen the evidence here. I didn't the first day. So if you're in that position, you are not alone. But my confidence has definitely built over time based on responses that I've gotten from different audiences as I take this work into the world, right? So I started using it in the Department of Transportation. That's where I worked the majority of my career, not the Department of Transportation, but in government in general. I used it in a program where we were trying to create partnerships between industry and government. So to promote safety specifically, right? Transportation. I've used it. Oh, I saw Dr. Nicole did the opening and the introduction for John. Dr. Nicole and I have collaborated on a couple of projects, and one of them, which came to mind immediately because it's so exciting and powerful and moving, was the Pathfinder Ottumwa program, where we use the Exchange approach to empower youth by providing them a space so that they could redefine for themselves what it looks like to go into the workspace, right? So they are designing the systems to introduce them into the work world, which is incredible, right? Fostering like confidence and purpose in them. I've used it working with boards, so like healthcare foundations, where they were trying to ground themselves in their values and how those took expression into the world. I've used it. I saw Jorge was here earlier, Jorge Supak. I'm not sure if he's still here, but Jorge and I did a project where we worked with Arts for Healing and the Justice Network, and we really helped them to look back into their stories of success, to look into the future and create a blueprint for the future. I could go on and on. Leadership programs, facilitation programs, guiding real estate agents into creating better work environments, increasing collaboration, helping them prepare for the changes that are happening right now in the world. So a lot of different places. The thing that stands out for me the most in the places where we've gone is the power of the structure and the simplicity of it for creating connection and achieving whatever outcome it is that you want to achieve.
Glenda, incredible. I think this is what happens when you hang out with Exchange for 3+ years. I mean, just the diversity of the projects that you shared is from government to youth. I mean, well done. I'm inspired just listening to you right now. So thank you for sharing. Michelle, I'm going to come to you next. Do you mind sharing with us where you've applied Exchange, maybe different environments, clients, anything like that?
Absolutely. So being newer to this, I don't have as long of a list as Glenda, but that is so inspiring. The two areas where I've applied it is in multi-day leadership training, and that's in the public sector. Coincidentally, it was for Department of Transportation, and I do that for 40-person cohorts for new managers and new supervisors. And then the second area where I've applied it is at workplace culture conferences and networking events. And the attendees there are usually HR managers, change management, employee experience professionals.
Brilliant. Michelle, thank you. I'm gonna come to you, Glenda, now with my second question here. I'd love for you to share with the group what's been the most positive impact that you have seen this approach make on a group that you've worked with.
Yeah. So I think the thing that stands out to me the most, and I love that John emphasized this earlier, right? You can take this from, he didn't use these words, but you'll see what I'm getting to in a second. You can take this from the boardroom to the breakfast table, right? Like it does not matter where you're using this approach. You can create a difference in whatever environment it is that you're using it. And the thing that stands out for me the most is just again, the simplicity of the structure and the ability to create the conditions for people to genuinely connect, not just with each other, but with their own sense of who they are and how they want to show up in the world.
Mm. And I'm hopeful that we all got a taste of that today inside of the breakouts, the quick intimacy that is created inside of how we design the questions. Glenda, I actually have a case study here that I'm going to pull up on a slide. As I pull it up, I'd love to invite you to share with the group any specific, if you want to give us kind of a high level context for this experience that you facilitated, and then any practical learnings. In this particular case, you facilitated a connect choreography, which is what we've all experienced many times now today. So I'm going to let you kind of guide us, and I'll bring this up and kind of point to certain parts of this together.
Yeah, so I really wanted to bring this forth because I think it's such a grounded example of it does not have to be hard. It can be so easy and it can be so powerful in whatever environment you take it into. This is a dinner club that I host on Tuesday nights. It's a meetup where strangers come together to enjoy a meal together, to connect, and to engage in structured conversation. I never know who's going to show up. For the most part, they don't know each other either. New people show up on a weekly basis. We do now have people that show up every week. So for those that show up every week, we take that as an indication of the fact that they're enjoying themselves. We use the bookend choreography is what we called it here. We talked a little bit about it earlier, which is just connecting people with why they're there and why it's important for them to be there at the beginning of the conversation, right? So the question that we ask is, why is it important for you to be here today, or some variation of that? Why did you decide to join us today for this particular club, and what do you hope to gain from it? Why is it important for you to be here is the question that kind of centers us and grounds us. And then we just open it up for conversation around usually I use the changes cards. Some of you might not know what those are, but one of our community members, Michael Dietrich Chastain, created a deck of cards that are really like powerful and also accessible questions. So what I do is I put one of those in each of the table settings, or I ask people when they come in to choose a card, and then we use those to guide the conversation during the event. And then at the end, we do just what is the what can you appreciate about our time together today? So it could be about the process, about the people, about the conversation, about the venue, something to give them to focus their attention on what they can appreciate about the experience that we just shared together.
You guys might recall, so Glenda used the word the experiential bookend that was on page 10 of your workbook when John was going over this. So whether in the middle of that, it's your content, it's your keynote, it's a panel like we're doing today. Glenda, what I love is that you did it around a dinner table, and I actually have photos here to kind of show us, give us a visual of you. Look how happy everyone is. Just bringing, I love it, the strangers together by inviting two simple questions inside of those connect choreographies. And what I really appreciated too when we were kind of preparing for this is being around a dinner table. The prep is pretty minimal, right? Like you're not having them bring out all these post-it notes or writing or handwriting. It's just the ability to reflect and share inside of that small group format. So is
There's
there
no
anything else?
PowerPoint. Yeah, there's no PowerPoint. There's no like handouts. There's nothing like that. It really is just the power of the question and the structure in creating the good conversation and connection. So this is like minimalist, right? Like you don't need very much to get people talking to each other and having constructive conversations when you can use a structure like this and introduce it into a group.
And so I just want to highlight for everyone again, the connect choreography is what she used inside of these two questions, which, John also did a good job of going through other examples from our exchange clients, but a purpose question, why is it important for me to be here today? And then the closing was the appreciation question. What do we appreciate most about our time? You had about kind of an average of 5 to 10 people. This was done in 2 hours. So even just taking or being inspired, as you can see in 15 minutes, the amount of connection that could be created with strangers going into that dinner. Anything else, Glenda? Any learning lessons or takeaways that you want to share with the audience today about your experience in facilitating these dinners and these questions?
Yeah, again, I am one of those people that doesn't suffer from a whole lot of confidence, right? Like it is an earned experience for me. And what I can say is my confidence in using the approach just increases every time that I use it because it just validates how effective it can be. Um, I contrast it with other experiences, right? Like, what does it look like when I go to a dinner when we're not using this kind of structured conversation approach and we're not intentional about the conversations that we're having versus when we have this very intentional setting? It does not look anything like like they don't look like each other, right? The conversation can very easily descend into what's broken in the world, the politics of the day, like just a lot of things that aren't necessarily increasing our ability to see each other, to understand each other, to connect with each other. But when we are intentional about creating these structures, it just makes a world of difference, and the experience that we walk away from is so much more meaningful and valuable. So for me, it's been practice that has helped me to get to that place. Others of you may already have the years of experience that it takes to get to that place, or you just might be naturally endowed with that. For me, it really has just been getting out there into the world and doing it to know that that it is powerful and that it does work.
I love your emphasis on structure. I've heard it termed of like, it's like we create the riverbanks and then we allow the flow and energy to happen. So there's still space for creativity, for spontaneity, for play, for fun, but there is some structure into that guided discussion. So Glenda, thank
Yeah.
you so much. I see a lot of comments too in the notes around the questions, the changes cards. We'll make sure to link to that in the end of day recap for you guys. So don't need to go Google them. We'll make sure you're well taken care of. Glenda, again, congratulations on this and emphasizing your point on practice. I'm going to challenge everyone listening right now because it can be this simple. It can be this applicable. Is take one of these questions that Glenda asked, either the why is it important for me to be here today, or maybe it's the what do you appreciate most about our time together, and bring it to your dinner tables, bring it to your families. Start small, create that practice, create that confidence, and then just keep trying out these questions inside of your daily life. It really is a way of being. Glenda, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
come to, don't leave yet because we're going to come back to you, but I'm going to bring up Michelle now. Michelle, I'd love to invite you. Same question. What is the most positive impact that you have seen the exchange approach make on a group that you've worked with?
Well, I think for me, it's something that John brought up earlier today, and that is that speed of trust and connection. So for me, the exchange approach, it quickly creates that safe space, for meaningful interactions to take place. As a facilitator, I guess when I tried it the first time in particular, and actually time and time again, how quickly, how little time it takes to create those conditions for people who may not know each other or they don't know each other well to get real. And I witnessed that unfold in a 15-minute Connect choreography that I did at a professional networking event. And when I was applying the exchange choreography, it was efficient, it was quick, and it easily moved participants. And we'll get into this, but, they were passive audience members listening to speakers. And then it transitioned them into these engaged participants who were learning with and from each other. So my short answer to that, Stephanie, is probably that the exchange approach helps people get real fast. And I think we experience that today too.
Yeah, brilliant, Michelle. I'm going to pull up your slides. So now let's
Thanks.
dive into how you actually did. How did you create this 15-minute hyper engagement in quick speed? I see you did a Connect choreography. I'll let you introduce the question.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to point out here that this was the very first time that I ever applied the exchange approach. And it was after a training like this that I reached out to a conference organizer that I know. He hosts professional networking events. And I know that he has the stated goal of bringing people together so they can learn, so they can make connections, and so they can take action. And when I realized the power of the Connect choreography and being intentional, I said, hey, what do you think about the idea of me maybe doing a Connect choreography at the beginning, at the end? And he decided that, yeah, let's build this in at the end and doing a closing reflection. So this actually, on the agenda here, it shows that it was a 2-hour event, but what I failed to put in here is that he had built in 60 minutes at the beginning for networking and connection. And so, as you can all imagine, the connection kind of happens randomly or by chance. So what we were able to do is, after a series of speakers, then I was able to do a closing reflection. And what my goal was is to not only connect them with each other, but also the content and have them leave with some action. And so the question that I came up with was, what is the greatest gift that you'll take from this experience, meaning that whole networking event? And some of the thought joggers that I used were maybe there was an aha or an insight that feels really important for you to hold on to, or a conversation maybe they had with someone that sparked an idea, or they also had an open bar. And I said, maybe you appreciated that you tried a new beard that you liked. But that 15-minute Connect choreography, I think the conference organizer was really happy with it, and it helped them more effectively deliver on elevating that attendee experience. It brought that intentionality, I think, for the meaningful connections to unfold. And he did say that facilitation and guiding more meaningful connections and conversations was really instrumental in making that event a success.
And Michelle, we've also got some
Yeah,
photos just to kind of demonstrate the
I know.
room. And
Yeah.
I remember when we were prepping too, you were sharing with me how, again, so speaker to speaker to speaker, not
Mhm.
unsimilar to like the TEDx case study that John was sharing about earlier, and the ability to bring that room to life by having them turn to each other versus just being receiving from the stage. Do you want to share a little bit about what happened when you witnessed this share?
Yeah, I think one of the things that stood out to me in preparing this case study, even, I remember having a very visceral reaction while there was the report outs at the end. So, question, what did you appreciate the most? Connect with people that they don't know well, share your answers, and then the report out. And what has come to mind for me, or what stands out for me, is that it's not so much just that people share and that the Connect choreography works. They will share, but it's what and how they share. And so I just remember there was one session where John explained to us that there's a difference between intellectually being able to facilitate and appreciate the Connect choreography. It's almost like the logical sequence. And then there's something, more embodied where you really understand and appreciate it. So that stood out for me. It's like, hey, this really works. And then you're like, no, this really works. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Yes. A lot of times when we're going into this, John was kind of speaking to this earlier too. Maybe there's a little hint of a doubt, like what's going to happen in this audience who's so used to this culture to this conference format, right? Of just coming and kind of passively receiving, taking their own notes, and then going home. So I appreciate that you leaned in. You trusted the process and that you were in that space to even receive the magic of what happens inside of these experiences. I just want to point out too, what I love is how you visually showed. So you guys, John's going to be talking right after this about facilitation and more on that side of things. But a lot of what we talk about too is not only how do we enroll into the question, but how do you visually show? And you guys have experienced this in multiple ways, through the chat, through our verbal instructions, but also in your case, you brought up a slide. So here are the 3 steps of that choreography: reflect on the question, connect with each other, and reporting out. I love how you made this your own inside of your own instructions too, that I wanted to point to. Michelle, anything else that you want to bring voice to as far as how you facilitated this? Any learning lessons?
I would love for people to just go away with the permission to not feel like it takes a lot of time. So you don't need a lot of time to make a meaningful difference. I mean, this reflection was only 15 minutes. And I'm doing a variation of this in May of next year. I did it May of this year. So I want to add that. And then the second thing I just want to share is that the small instructions matter a lot. So one of the participants, so part of my instructions before they went into their small group connect was, using the acknowledgement. And we did that earlier today. Thank you for sharing that. And I had a participant who came up to me who actually was one of the speakers that night. And he just volunteered and he said, I want to let you know that I was really hesitant about the going into the small group connect and share, but he was pleasantly surprised that it was such a positive experience. And he specifically mentioned that the reflect back to the person who shared was one of the things, especially if you say, so they feel seen, valued, and heard, that he felt that contributed to a positive, meaningful discussion. And that tied a lot to his topic that night was toxic workplaces and bullying in the workplace. And so he connected those two. And I think the other thing too is the small instruction of connect with people that you don't know or don't know well. And both of those real small instructions, but they're powerful. And I had people comment on that too. There was like a LinkedIn post where someone shared, I'm really glad she had us connect with people we didn't know. So those are my 2 takeaways. It doesn't take a lot of time, and the small instructions matter a lot.
Michelle, I love that you brought some of those in. So it's the question, but then there's some subtleties into how we bring them into not only reflecting, but connecting with one another that can create that psychological safety that I hear you talking about. Beautiful. And Michelle, I remember you actually bringing this. So you heard us say, don't ever design alone, and then don't facilitate alone too. But the designing part, I remember you actually brought this agenda to us to get some coaching on. So it's really cool just to have seen the debrief inside of the Facebook group, and then now to get to have you share it with us. Appreciate having you here, Michelle.
Well, and I just want to do one acknowledgement and appreciation, and that is being a member of the exchange group. It's really like having a team of your biggest supporters and cheerleaders. Absolutely. So that's one thing I appreciate.
Thanks, Michelle. All right, as a way to close this up, I've got one final question for each of you. I'm going to bring Glenda back up. Glenda, in a sentence or less. Ooh, can we do it? A sentence or less. What has been your biggest win that the exchange approach has made possible for you?
Biggest win. I would say it's the confidence that comes from knowing that using this structure, you can safely and predictably see what the outcome is going to be, or rather create the outcome that you want. Structure really does create culture. And when you have the right structure, you can create the kind of culture and the kind of outcomes that you want, or at least, move closer in that direction. And the exchange approach has done that for me.
Glenda, powerful. Thank you so much. Michelle, sentence or less coming to you. What has been your biggest win that the exchange approach has made possible?
I would touch on business development win. The conference organizers invited me to facilitate at 2 other conferences. And the next one will actually be where they were comfortable doing an experiential bookend. So I'll be able to do something at the beginning of a day-long conference and at the end. So new
Nice.
opportunities.
Incredible. From a closing 15 minutes to 2 more to come. Well done. Well done. High five, friend. All right, you guys are already getting so much love in the chat, so I'm going to invite you to check in there, but I'm going to invite everyone right now. Again, we're going to do an active learning of our own right now. Take out a pen, something to write with. I'm going to invite you. What do you appreciate? What do you want to appreciate about either kind of a nugget that you received, something of wisdom that Michelle or Glenda shared today, or what do you want to appreciate just inside of the shares that Glenda and Michelle created for us today? I'm going to invite you right now. Take 30 seconds. Come up with what would you like to appreciate about what was shared today. Play a little tune for us. Give you guys just quick 30 seconds. And then if you want to, I'd love to bring in 1, 2, maybe 3 voices just to share. You can put your shares in the chat. You guys are already getting a lot of love there. But if you want to just raise your hand, I'll bring in 1 or 2 or maybe 3 voices to share with these ladies. I saw Claudia come up first. Claudia, feel free. Oh, wait, Claudia, it looks like you got remuted. There we go.
Oh, okay. Am I unmuted? Okay, I think so.
Yes.
I've been a teacher most of my life, or a school leader, founder, whatever. And we talk a lot in education about creating the culture of our classrooms. And many of the ideas that have come forth in this work has sparked that thought in my own head. But Glenda, I really appreciated what you said about how it creates culture. And in the Montessori world, our national organization has really wanted us for the last 2 years to really put an emphasis on ABAR and DEIB work in our classrooms. And I think this work here is going to be a great way to really teach teachers how to do this without it being scary or threatening in some way, or having them feel afraid. I think it's going to be just awesome to add this to sort of my own bag of tricks. So Glenda, thank you for talking about culture today. I really appreciate that.
Claudia, thank you. Dr. Nicole, we'll close with your voice.
I just really want to say, and I want to underscore what I put into the chat, which is simply this. You all both so beautifully reflected some of the sleeper cells, or the superpowers of this exchange approach in its simplicity, Michelle, and also its diversity, Glenda. No matter where you go, keeping it simple, always maintaining a heart of humility, which is what I saw so beautifully reflected from you both. And allowing the exchange work to do its best work, which is to bring out the best of the folks that we are hosting when we create this table of connection. So just beautiful examples from you both. So thank you so very much.
Thanks, Dr. Nicole. All right, my friends, we have a plane to land. Glenda, Michelle, thank you so much. Dr. Nicole, appreciate bringing your voice in. And enjoy the chat, ladies. Lots of love with you. I'm going to hand it back to John.